I see Wonder Woman. We have the Green Lantern, Phil LaMarr. Do we have a Dark Knight detective? Do we know that? Can we confirm that? Yes. Kevin Conroy, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
good to see you again. Good to see you again, Phil. Good to see you.
Hey.
All right. That's 3. I mean, that's amazing. Is there another? You guys can sneak down in. We've got microphone. Yeah, microphone. One more in. Jump in one more, because we got to hear Wonder Woman. We got to hear Susan Eisenberg.
I'll go down.
Oh, right.
You
sat without a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a strange visitor from another planet? Have we confirmed that we have that or not?
I do not know. We
do not know. I'm going to just say we thought Tim Daly was going to be here. Is Tim Daly here?
He'll show up.
He'll show up. Pretend
He's
I just
lost
introduced
somewhere in this massive convention center.
Right. Pretend I just introduced Kevin Conroy. Justice League, come on! If
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
The thing about Kevin is he'll say that in the brightest day, in the blackest night, whenever.
Phil, you have a catchphrase.
Kiss my axe.
That's the one. That's the one. That's the moneymaker. Susan, we always they all have catchphrases, and it's like Shannon Farnan as Wonder Woman. She had a catchphrase. Great Hera. Like they never gave you a catchphrase, did they?
Great Hera.
Did they do Great Hera in there? Okay, because I remember Super Friends. I'm definitely old school, but okay. So you got to sneak in some Great Heras.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, all right, can you give us one?
Great Hera.
I don't know about you guys, but like the hairs on the back of my neck go up when they do these things. It's amazing. We've heard it a million times, and we still love that. Look, this is a Q&A. I've got a bunch of Qs, and they've got some As, but this is about you guys. So if you got your Qs, they got the As. There's a microphone over there. Just kind of make sure, if you guys want to, don't be shy. There's a whole room full of people. If you want to get on the microphone, but just kind of like maybe crouch down so you're not, blocking the people behind you. I'm going to just start off while everybody's kind of getting lined up here. We geek out over you all at these conventions. That's what we do. We come up to the table, we tell you stories, we geek out. Have you ever geeked out about somebody at a convention? You guys have done enough of these. Who have you fanned out over?
Oh gosh, for me it's always the comic book artists.
Yeah, the artists and the writers.
Yeah.
Anybody in particular? Do you get your comic book signed? It's like we do. I mean, do you?
Yes. Well, it's funny because I'm old school DC guy, and my totem animal is Batman. So
you fanboy out over Kevin Conroy.
Oh, of course.
But maybe
oh, it's
Neil
for
Rao.
you. Here he is.
Sorry I'm late.
I'm sorry this
Flew in.
I'm sorry, the Tim Daly panel is tomorrow. We just don't have Tim, my goodness. To tell you what, just if you have a chance, check out Comic Book Central last week on the YouTube channel. Tim and I chat. You can look in the back in his room. He's got Superman stuff in the back behind him, which is pretty cool. So he is actually a fan of the character. We were just asking, we geek out over you. Who are you geeking out? And by the way, I do want to say, this is Tim's first ever comic book and pop culture convention. It is terrific. So thank you for doing that, but have you fanboyed out over anybody here yet? Is there somebody here that you're like, oh my God, other than your...
Kevin Conroy's.
All right, it's all Kevin Conroy.
No, I mean, I'm fanboying out over the fanboys.
Yes.
Everybody's just so sweet and amazing and
Aren't they?
dedicated, and it's really, really fun.
Yeah. You're all incredible.
All right, we've got questions here. Let's start
Thank you.
give us your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Kaylin. I'm from Stanford. Oh my God, I told myself I wouldn't cry. I just want to start by saying that Justice League was my intro to superheroes, and it has gone on to define who I am as a person. Ask anybody, the first thing that they're going to tell you is I love superheroes and I love Batman, and Batgirl, clearly. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you for everything that you guys have contributed to this industry. When I read comics, I hear your voices. And my question is specifically for Kevin. I meant to ask this question 3 years ago at New York Comic Con, but of course it was a much bigger crowd. I didn't make it to the microphone. You have voiced Batman for 30 years now. What? Longer than I've even been alive.
Huh?
Longer than I've even been alive.
Oh my God.
Don't make them feel bad. Don't make them feel
How old am I?
Well, you're younger than Batman.
Yeah.
He started in 1939.
Groucho Marx had a famous line. LA is the only place on the planet where you fall asleep by the pool and you wake up and you're 87.
So my question is, after voicing the character for 30 years, you had the opportunity in the Arrowverse crossover to play Batman, to play Bruce live action for the first time ever. What was that like?
It was an incredible experience. It really was, because when they first asked me to do it, I got all excited. I thought, oh my God, I'm finally going to get to play Batman on camera. Oh my God. And then I read the script and I realized it was the exact opposite of what I had been playing. The take on that was, you know, Batman gives and gives and gives and gives and gives. It's a bottomless well of generosity. He takes life's pain and he turns it into something positive, and he gives it back to the world to leave the world a better place. And it's the nobility of that mission. That's what we admire so much about him, and the purity of it. You know what I mean? Well, this take on it is that he had given and given and given and given and given all his life, and what was left? An empty, bitter shell. Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
I mean, it's the exact opposite of everything I had been playing. And he's become this reclusive, bitter, angry old man. And so I can't describe what a departure it was for me to do that. And, but you know, actors love to play against type, to play against what they're expected to do. You know, you love, if you're always playing the leading man, you love to play the villain.
Right.
If you're always playing the villain, you love to play the leading man. It's just, you know, everybody likes to stretch. So once I got into it, it was very exciting. But it was a whole different take on the character. And he was dark and angry. And then at the end of it, when he tries to kill Batgirl, and he ends up getting killed. I mean, it was very dramatic. But a lot of the fans were angry. I mean, they were pissed. Wait a minute, you're not the Batman we know.
I personally love
Alternate universe.
Yeah, exactly, alternate universe. So, so for me, it was a blast. The hard part of it was working in a metal suit. They also didn't tell me that. And it's hard to work in a metal suit, you know? So everything about it was a real departure from what I'm used to. But I think most actors enjoy that kind of challenge. So it's an interesting question. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
I do have to say, I loved your performance in that episode. It was such an interesting interpretation of the character, and I loved it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. And just
Thank you, Kevin.
keep in mind for your question too, we got a large panel here too, so if we do a question where they all have to, just keep that in mind. We could be here for a little while, so if you want to focus it on some of the specific actors, your next question.
Sure. Yep. My question is for Phil. You just mentioned that you're a huge comic fan, that you know the writers. Is there ever a story that you wish had been made into the cartoon that you didn't get a chance to do?
Well, I mean, I've got 900 long boxes, so there's so many stories.
Oh, well, you'll catch up one day.
So, I mean, it's hard to pick one story, although I do remember, you know, when we were doing Justice League, there would be something in a script that was like some deep cut, reference. And I remember looking through the glass, and I would catch eyes with Dwayne. I'm like, is this a Silver Age reference? And Dwayne's like, geek, geek, geek.
And the rest of you had no idea what they were talking about.
No.
Nothing.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my question.
And your name, where are you from?
I'm Barry. I'm from Stratford.
Hey, Barry.
My question was just for the acting process. I believe most of you have played these characters across different versions, different universes. I'm just wondering, when you get a script, let's just say for the Injustice games, did all of you think I know this character, I know exactly what to do, or is it more of a mental starting from scratch? For Phil, the Jon Stewart in those games, was it yeah, I'm just going to do the same thing I did in Justice League? Or is it, no, I need to think about who this is, build it from scratch?
Oh, do you want to? No, it's always about the script. I mean, you're never going to say, oh, here, I'm just going to do the thing I did 10 years ago with these different words. Every iteration of the character, every story is different. I mean, like Kevin was just talking about this version of Bruce Wayne versus the other versions. I mean, obviously they want the same, vocal quality, voice-wise, but the internal qualities of who this man is might be different. Although that, in the Injustice version of Jon Stewart, was, a DLC, so there wasn't a ton. It was basically the same Jon Stewart. The Aquaman was different, though, because there were all those, extended scenes. So, and he's dealing with, the betrayal of Superman and Wonder Woman. It was weird to play these superheroes fighting each other,
Yeah, very different. I mean, Justice League versus Injustice, night and day. And, of course, it's not my decision how I'm going to play her. It's the director and, the writer. But it was hard. I mean, Kevin said earlier, if you're playing one character, it's nice you want to be able to change it up. But as somebody who's voiced Diana a long time, I don't like playing her as a villain. And I made the writers and director promise me a good Diana one of these days to pay me back for having to be such a bitch in Injustice, because it did not come naturally. Not that it didn't come naturally, but it didn't come naturally as Diana. Because to me, she's just a hero, and she should be played as a hero. So it was definitely a learning curve, and that was me being directed all the way through it.
Yep.
It's an interesting question, because what Phil was saying is true. It's always about the script, and you always are finding the truth of the character in the script. But on the other hand, when you've been doing the role for 30 years and the audience identifies your sound with the character, and that's why they hire you. You have to be true to that sound, to that. So it's a funny balance.
Right.
The voice has to be in the same realm, but how he adapts to his situations are different.
Exactly.
People always ask me how Batman evolved over 30 years. And I always say, well, my job was to keep him real, to keep him in the moment and alive and not get stale, and to keep it fresh. And luckily, I originated in the theater in New York. And, when you're doing a show 8 times a week for a year, you learn how to keep things fresh every night, because it's the first time the audience has seen that show. But part of the challenge for me over 30 years has been always making it sound new, but being that voice,
Thanks for your question. Next.
I'm Clay. I'm from Central Vermont. This is super cool. I got to gush with Mr. LaMarr earlier. It's just, whenever I play Injustice, I always pick the Jon Stewart skin, because he's always, every single time. I was terrible playing with Batman and Wonder Woman. And Superman, honestly. But Green Lantern, I was very good with. I'm going to make Tim talk because he hasn't talked yet. And
Well,
I think I'm required.
I mean, you're wearing that outfit. It's got to be a question from Tim.
I'm required by nerd law. This is so cool. I mean, what was your casting call like? Because you did that was, I feel like it's really underappreciated because there was another show that kind of overshadowed it. I mean, he got, Batman got like 4 seasons and then Superman got like 3. But I love both of them so much. What was your casting call like?
It was really odd for me because I probably shouldn't admit this in front of all of you, but I was not like a comic book kid growing up. I was not like Phil, an encyclopedic, comic nerd geek. I say that with love and respect to all of you. I came into it sort of innocent. And this friend of mine said, "Oh, hey, they're auditioning people for the voice of Superman." And I said, "No, I'll do that." And so I went to this place in Warner Brothers, and I met, Bruce Timm was there and Andrea Romano, and they said, "Read this stuff," and I read it, and they said, "Okay, do it again, and don't be so Supermanish about it." I was like, "Okay," and they said, "Great, you're hired." I was like, "Wait, what?" And I've said this publicly, and I will say it here publicly, that I didn't really understand how important Superman was and the world of superheroes was to so many people. I really thought that this was a fun job to do for some kids who were going to watch Saturday morning cartoons. I didn't realize that people who had driver's licenses would be interested in what I was doing. And it turns out they are. I think probably most of you did drive here. So it took me a while to understand that, I had a certain responsibility to this character, and that the character was so meaningful to so many people of all generations. So anyway, the casting call couldn't have been sort of easier. I wasn't nervous. I just was with a bunch of really great people, and I have to give a shout out to Andrea, because the thing is that I think in the entertainment business, there's sort of a ratio of jerks to good people, but we get a lot of attention, so the jerks seem to get a lot more press. I think it's the ratio is the same throughout any business, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer or a construction worker. There's probably the same ratio of jerks to good people. Andrea did not countenance jerks. She was not someone who would put her own heart and spirit aside to work with someone for whom it was life's too short. So I felt like I made an instant friend with her. I think I can probably speak for everybody.
Yes.
Her kindness, her generosity, her empathetic spirit, and her genuine sort of care about the people she worked with and what she was doing just emanated from her instantly.
Yeah.
So it was a happy day to be in that studio in Warner Bros.
And I think that resonates with the quality of the shows.
Yes.
Because when you went to a booking at Warner Brothers that Andrea was putting together, there just wasn't a sour note in the group. I mean, it was just all actors who wanted to work, who respected other actors. There's just an incredible positive atmosphere in the room. And when you have that kind of creativity, that kind of energy in a room, you're a better actor. When Mark Hamill is giving me so much insanity, it just pulls the performance out of me, or Ron Perlman, or there's all these wonderful actors that we got to work with.
Or Wonder Woman giving you all that love.
The love.
Wonder Bat.
She loved Batman.
But actors are people, and there are ones you want to work with and the ones you don't, selfish ones and generous ones.
Yep.
And Tim's right. Andrea would screen out people that were just not going to be a positive influence. And boy, that made all the difference in the world.
Thanks for your question. Yep, next one.
Oh, wait, actually, before we go to the next question, I just wanted to touch on something that Tim said. Actually, I just want to speak to the challenge and the accomplishment that these three have in embodying. I mean, they're playing the big three.
Yeah.
You know? And I think a lot of people don't understand the level of challenge in embodying characters that everybody in the world has an opinion about. I mean, your grandparents all know who Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are. And it's the sort of thing where, you know, it's like, you do your performance, and somebody who's never read a comic book in their life might go, I don't know if that's really Superman. You know? Whereas, you know, and I think actually, my theory is that's how Marvel succeeded. Because they had sold off all their, you know, big A-list characters, so they got to start with the B-list. You know, Iron Man, who's that? You know, had he been Batman or Wonder Woman or at that level, you would have all these people going, that's not the right goatee! But the fact that they not only have stepped into, you know, these characters had been around for decades upon decades, they embody our memories and our ideas and our concept of these heroes. Like, yes, that is Wonder Woman. That is Batman. That is Superman. And that's why when you read the comics, you hear their voices. Not easy. Thank
you. My name's Darren.
All weekend.
My name's Darren. I'm from Louisiana, and Phil LaMarr, a bunch of people here know you as Green Lantern. I know you as Static Shock. And
the name's Virgil, and I put a shock to your system.
I just want to know, you know, was it difficult? Obviously, they ran about the same time. Was it difficult going from, you know, a masculine voice and Jon Stewart to, you know, a teenage Virgil Hawkins and kind of the
Well, there was an episode of Static Shock where they had Jon Stewart appear in it, and I thought the writers were like, oh gosh, they're trying to knock me down. But working with Andrea, was able to get through it. Although at the time, it was fairly early in my voiceover career, I'm like, I'm not Billy West. I can't just talk to myself, you know, back and forth. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that the static voice didn't like creep down, you know. So I did all my Jon Stewart lines and then all my static lines separately. And just because for me, it was about making sure that this episode, these performances were as good as they could be. Not just about trying to impress everybody and show off, you know. But it was a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm from Connecticut. I just want to say before I ask my question, I actually got into the Justice League cartoon show really late, like during COVID, and it just being able to watch that during probably one of the darker times we've been in recent history just brought in a lot of hope. And I also, Kevin Conroy, I also read your piece in the DC Pride anthology.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was just like a really hopeful thing because you were in such a dark place and then you were able to find Batman. It's just really empowering. And I guess this leads into my question: what drew you to each of your respective characters? I'm sorry. Wow.
My agent.
Thank you for keeping in mind the time that we have here today. Yeah, let's run down. Yeah, real quick, what drew everybody to their character?
I mean, honestly, it was like the best job in town when that came out. I mean, everyone was auditioning for Wonder Woman. We didn't know too many details about the project. And like Tim, I didn't really grow up in that world. other than Linda Carter, of course, I knew her. Who doesn't? But, I was watching soap operas and, Dark Shadows and things like that. So I didn't really know too much about it. But there was just something, there was something about her formality and her grace and her toughness that when I read the sides to the script, I just thought, oh my gosh, I would love to play this character. I was just drawn to that, really.
Well, for me, I'll just go quickly. I loved the sort of split personality, Clark Kent and Superman, and how different those two people were. I loved Clark's humor, and I've come to appreciate more and more the pure sort of goodness of Superman. I mean, a lot of our superheroes, especially in the movies, have become so dark and twisted and sort of reflect this kind of dystopic attitude that it seems to pervade our entertainment. And I'm sick of it. I want some goodness. And, and here's Superman, who had, my God, plenty of childhood trauma. I mean, his freaking planet blew up. He lost his parent, he lost everything. And yet, despite all of that, he's not out for revenge. He's not taking it out on anybody. He's just trying to help human beings, that would be all of the rest of us, be better and live in a better place. So that's what attracted me to Superman.
Thank you.
And like for the others, it was a random audition, and I had never done an animated character before. I had done some voiceovers, commercial voiceovers, and my voiceover agent said, "Why don't you go over to Warner Brothers? They're looking for Batman, and they're having a hard time for an animated series." And I said, "Batman? That's been around forever. That's not new." He said, "Well, there's never been actually an animated series of Batman." I didn't even know that. So when I went in, I was a complete New York stage actor who happened to be in LA doing a pilot for a series. I had no background in animation. I knew nothing about Batman except Adam West. And Bruce Timm says, "Well, what do you know about the character?" And I said, "Well, I know the Adam West show." And he goes, No! We love Adam, but that's not what we're doing. He said, "Don't you know about his dark, tragic childhood? His parents were murdered in front of him in Crime Alley, and he spends his life avenging their deaths, and he has these two dual personalities?" I said, "No." He said, "What kind of childhood did you have?" So I said, "Well, you've kind of brought me up to speed, so let me just improvise." So I went in the booth, and I just put myself in the head of someone who had watched his parents be murdered. And the result was this alternate personality that he develops to help heal the world. He turns all that poison into something good. And so I just imagined what that would feel like. And it was just totally improvised on the moment. I just went to this very dark, husky, sexy and they hired me on the spot. They had seen 500 actors. They had been looking for months. They couldn't find the right person. I was the first stage actor they brought in. And the only reason they brought me in was because a casting agent in New York named Anthony Barneo, who was a good friend of Andrea Romano's, she told Anthony, "We can't find the right actor. What are we going to do?" He said, "Well, there's this young actor who works at the Public Theater, and he does these heroic, classic Shakespearean roles. He's the type you're looking for, I think. His name is Kevin Conroy." So I was the first time they looked outside the TV and film world. And that's exactly what they needed. They needed a theater actor. They needed someone with, theatrical chops. Because he's the most theatrical of all those characters. He is Orestes. He is Achilles. He is Edgar from Lear. I mean, he's all those Shakespearean heroes.
He even sings.
And he can sing.
He can sing.
Wait till you see him dance.
That'll be the next iteration. Thank you for your question. I will say we've got a lot of people in line to get to questions. So if we can just, if you can just get to your question.
Thank you for answering. You guys are fantastic.
Thanks so much. We can just get right to the questions. They know you love them. You can tell them at the tables too how much you love them. But go ahead with your question.
I have a question for you, for all you Justice League people out there. Can you still do the voices these days?
Yes.
Of course.
Sure. Well, I don't know.
Get in the Batcave.
Oh my God! I mean, I'm sorry. I've been like a big fan of the Justice League ever since that day. I've been a big fan of you too, Batman and Green Lantern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take
and
care.
You Superman rock. And you Wonder Woman, you're the best.
Thank you so much. We're all fans. We're all fans today. Thanks. Next question.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm from New Haven. Again, honor to meet all of you. My question is, I've followed. I'm privileged enough to have grown up. I was a child when Batman came out, and as I grew up, you guys were, all your voices were constant in my childhood, my teens, and my 20s. So I want to ask you guys, what's your favorite from the movies and the video games and the TV shows? What's your favorite media, I guess, that you've ever got to work on?
It's really hard to pick because there have been so many, and they're all so different. I love the games. I think they're amazing. But I think the animated series where all of this world was established is my favorite.
Phil, favorite version?
Well, I've been lucky enough to work with high-quality people like Andrea Romano and Bruce Timm and Dwayne McDuffie. So to me, it's less about the medium than about the quality. So my favorites are like 20 of them.
Susan?
Yeah, I mean, the animated series is just been the best because it's an ensemble. I mean, and if you're lucky enough to be on a Justice League with all of us in this huge room, all of us together doing a rehearsal and then recording, it's a gift, and it doesn't always happen. And so but commercials pay better. So I will say that, I mean, Fancy Feast kept me afloat for many years.
Nice.
And if I can, is it love or is it Fancy Feast? Thank you.
I don't really care about the medium. I care about the quality of the script and the character. So for me, it's whatever story is most meaningful to me is the one that I like doing best. So it doesn't really matter where it is.
Yeah.
Superman the animated series because you got to work with Dana Delaney.
Well, there's that.
There's that too. Thank you for your question. Next question, please.
This is gonna be a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm Wally from New York.
Hey, Wally.
30. Wait, wrong one. But this was for Phil. I was thinking about Static Shock, and what was it like, when you got episodes that had serious issues like gun violence, learning disabilities, racism. I can go on. What was it like with those episodes?
They were fantastic. I mean, the great thing about Static Shock is this is what Milestone Comics did. They brought the real world into a fantasy world, which to me was equivalent to what Stan Lee did with Marvel in the 60s. It's like, okay, there are superheroes that we've all been looking at since the 30s, but these superheroes have real feelings like real people. And Static did that with Saturday morning cartoons. Here's a superhero show where they have real people feeling real things about stuff that you have in your lives. But it wasn't a very special episode. It was just a very good one.
That is an understatement.
Question.
They took chances.
Right.
Not like most of today's cartoons. Except DC Superhero Girls. That is a good one.
Thank you for your question.
Peace!
Next.
Yeah, hey. First off, big fan. I'm the host of Geek Talk with Tyler and Talk Geek with Tyler.
There's no, we're not going to pit big products here. Let's get right to the questions. Let's get right to the questions.
Right.
We got a lot of people behind you.
For Kevin Conroy. Kevin, what was the dynamic between you and Mark Hamill? Like, did you ever picture yourself working with Luke Skywalker?
When I heard Mark was going to do Joker, I thought, what? Mark Hamill? Luke Skywalker? Crazy. And then he came in and did it. And he is just breathtakingly talented. He is such a wonderful actor. And to work with, too, you know, like I was saying before, there are all kinds of actors. He has no pretense, no ego that gets in the way of the work. One of my favorite shots of Mark, we were in a group recording, and I burst out laughing, and Andrea said, "Kevin, you just ruined the take." I said, "Well, look at Mark." And he was sitting over there listening to another actor like this. Literally, he was in such glee. I said, he's 5 years old. He just takes such joy from other people's performances. And he gives so much when you're in the booth with him that it just makes you a better actor. Mm-hmm. Acting is as much about reacting as it is acting. If you know, when you give what you get, and he gives so much. So I have been so lucky and fortunate that he played that role. And what's amazing about him is, you know, like Jim Carrey has that rubbery face. Mark has the same thing. When you're in the booth with him, he becomes the Joker. It's like, "Woo!" And he goes down into those scary lower depths. And he's also a very salivary actor.
Yes, he spits a lot.
He spits a lot.
Nice word.
And I'm like, Mark, tone it down.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you for the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to try and be very quick here. Tim Daly, big fan since Wings Brothers. Since
Thank you.
Wings.
Thank you
You
so
are
much.
And I remember the HBO movie where you played a cult leader, and I was like, not that dude from Wings. You were incredible in that as well. You were an amazing actor. Phil LaMarr. But Phil, since Mad TV, brother, you were an event when we went home and watched the premiere of
Let's
Mad
get to
TV.
the
It's
question.
great.
Let's get to the question.
Wait,
We can fanboy out down at the table.
I want more
No,
love.
no. You get
Look,
love at the
You guys
table.
have a reference, a character reference that a fan comes up to you and throws at you that you're like, oh my God, that was incredible. I thought I was here for Justice League. No? A character reference?
I do.
Favorite
I have
reference?
one. So the first movie I did was a movie called Diner, which if you haven't seen, you should all watch it. I had this scene in Diner. I think it was the first day of shooting. Steve Guttenberg and me, we were in a pool hall and we were shooting, and there's this scene where this kid comes up to me and starts quoting this movie called The Sweet Smell of Success. And my character has no idea what's going on. I was like, and I turned to Guttenberg and I said, what is that? And he said, I can't remember the character's name. He said, hey, that's Joe. He's obsessed with Sweet Smell of Success. He can quote every line in the movie.
Nice.
So I hope this goes down as one of the great lines in cinema history in Diner, where I was in jail. This is a long story. And this creepy guy comes up to me and is sort of threatening to me. And I turn to him and I say, go ahead. Keep talking. I'll hit you so hard, I'll kill your whole family.
Thank you so much.
Great. No, wait. So this is the end of the story, though. So about twice a year, I'll be standing someplace, like squeezing melon in the grocery store or something, and I will hear someone come up behind me and they'll say, "I'll hit you so hard, I'll kill your whole family."
What?
Oh my God. And they're quoting Diner, so it's like life imitating art.
Thank you for your question.
Amazing.
Hey, how you guys doing? By the way, Tim, my wife, swooned when she found out that you were going to be here and she wouldn't. But my question is for Phil. For all of you, but I mostly Phil. You've done so much voiceover work and just iconic roles. Is there any role that you ever had to turn down, or any role that you kind of went for and really wanted and didn't get?
Or a role that
maybe hasn't been created yet, like a character that you've always wanted to do that you haven't had a chance?
Well, actually, there was a period a few years back where Warner Brothers was recasting the Looney Tunes. And so they sent out a CD with Mel Blanc doing all of those characters, and I couldn't do it. I would listen to it, and I would try to do my Bugs Bunny, but I would always hear a little bit of my voice in it. If it doesn't sound like Mel Blanc, then it's not Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not even going to submit this audition. Cool. Because those characters are so iconic to me that I can't accept my performance.
Yeah.
But then I hear Eric Bauza, I'm like, oh wow, it can be done.
Cool.
We got about 10 minutes and 12 people, so we're gonna go speed round. So just get right to it, right to the questions, and we'll go for it.
Phil LaMarr, Freddie, New London, Connecticut. Phil LaMarr, how did you find, what was that you loved the most about voice acting? You said you started back when Static Shock, but you've been doing...
Favorite part of voice acting? What's the best part?
Well, I mean, it just worked out for me. I mean, I started out on camera, and after my 5th season of Mad TV, I decided, it's like, well, let me give a, try to, because we had done a bunch of claymation pieces on Mad TV, and that's where I started getting my mic time. I was like, well, this kind of feels good. This kind of works. And so I began to actively pursue voice acting, not, throwing away the rest, but like, let me add this spoke. I mean, it was weird, because coming up, the idea that people say, I want to be a voice actor, was like, that's weird. That's like saying, I want to act on the left side of the stage. Why would you limit yourself like that? Because voice acting is acting. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. Next. And I thought you were going to go, I can wear sweatpants to work, but you did not go with that one, so.
Just a quick question. If all given the opportunity, would you do an Elseworlds live action version of the characters you've already played? I know, Mr. Conroy, you've already done that, but would
Kevin
you
did one already. Would you 3 be in for live action, Arrowverse, whatever?
Hell yeah.
There you go. And
Yeah.
look great in the costume. Susan.
Well, Tim's got the jawline, so he's got to.
Yeah. Susan.
Well, I did one on Tim has a show called The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
No way!
And I played Wonder Woman.
The web series.
To his Superman. And I have to say, if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube.
Yes.
And it is, I'm a small piece of it, but he and his son Sam, I laughed the entire day. It is, and there are so many episodes. Kevin, you're...
Yeah, I did one.
Kevin's in one,
So
Brandon Routh's
funny.
in one,
Yeah,
Dean
so
Cain's,
funny.
Dean Cain's
So
in it.
discover it. It's The
Yes.
Daily Show, DALY. Okay?
We did a whole episode about Superman.
You
so-
put tights on? You put tights on in a heartbeat.
Yep.
There you
yeah.
go. Next.
Thank you.
Next.
Did it for Big Time Rush, I'll do it for Justice League.
Hi, Avi from Rhode Island, big fan. I just wanted to ask, primarily for Tim, some people think, and I disagree with this, that Superman might not be relevant right now. Obviously, I
Is
think-
Superman relevant in today's society?
I think, as I said before, more than ever. I mean, I think that we are hungry, or I shouldn't say that. I am hungry for real heroes, for people who are not so complicated that they have to do horrible things in order to have a good result. Superman is very pure, or has been in the past, and I think that that kind of hero is something that I appreciate and I long for. So I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
Thanks for your
Agreed.
question.
Thank you so
Next
much.
up, I'm betting this is for Susan.
Yes,
Go
as a
for
matter of fact, it is. My question is, were you ever asked, or was there ever any consideration of you being in that CW crossover, or any reference to Wonder Woman whatsoever? And the follow-up, we ever see you in a live action?
Well, we got the second one already answered.
Well, but
Did they
even a
call you to be in
cameo,
it?
Even in like...
No, there was no call to be in it. Nope. So thank you for the question. Next.
No.
I'm Archie. I'm from Massachusetts. What was your favorite part about playing your respective characters?
Best part about Batman. Best part about being Batman.
Being Batman.
There you go.
I mean, he's awesome.
Best part about being Green Lantern.
Just it's a great role to play. I mean, you got to be on Galactic Trial for Murder, you got to be in an incredible love triangle and break up with your girlfriend because she tried to invade the planet.
Best part about
Where do you get to play that?
Best part about being Wonder Woman.
The jet?
Yes.
No, it's just like what Kevin said. Being Wonder Woman is, it's like a passport in life. People are happy to see you, and they want to talk to you and share their dreams and ambitions, and I'm there for all of it.
Best part about being Superman?
Well, as Kevin said, being Superman.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, he can fly. Superman can fly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He did, and you flew in. We saw him do that. Next question, please. Yep, we're going speed round.
Hi, I'm Ellen from West Hartford. And my question for all of you, since all heroes, what are your favorite villains from the DC universe?
Oh, villain actors or the characters?
The villain characters.
Who's
I
your
have a
best
special
villain?
place in my heart for the Joker because of Mark Hamill. But that being said, what makes Batman so interesting are the villains. I mean, and that was what was so brilliant about the Arkham games. Someone had the idea, Batman never kills anybody. He locks them up in Arkham. So there's this community of the most insane, twisted people. Let's explore that in a video game, So it
I
was
think
a great
Batman has the
idea.
longest villain roster.
I don't think we're going to top Joker and Mark Hamill. So we're going next.
Yeah.
Let's get our next question. We want to get everybody in.
Hi, my name is Oscar Velarde. I have three, but I'll ask you two just for a quick up. I have a question for Kevin Conroy, big Batman fan, by the way. What are the difference of voicing Batman between the animated series and the Arkham series?
The difference between doing the animated series and the Arkham games is kind of like night and day. Mm-hmm. When you're in an episode of a series, it takes 2 hours to record a whole series. And you have all the other actors in the room with you. Warner Brothers really likes to get the characters together because, as I said before, you give what you get. And the energy in those rooms is incredible. When you do a game, because of the way they're constructed, the algorithms, the science of it, they need completely clean takes of each character. So you're alone. And you're alone in a booth, and you've got to keep the character alive in your head. You've got to imagine the situation he's in. And then you've got to do, 3 or 4 different takes of each line with slight variations on the take. And maybe the line is, "Get out." And they go, "Oh, great, Kevin, great. Could you do that with a little irony?" Get out. Perfect. Keep the irony and give it just a little smile. Get out. I mean,
that's too Joker right there.
By the end of the day, you're not sure how to speak English. So the process of building the games, of recording them, is like going to the dentist. It's difficult, it's painful, but what's so rewarding is when you look at the end result. And when I saw Arkham Asylum, the first game, I thought, oh my God, look what I'm a part of. This is brilliant. So it's a really good question. The actual nuts and bolts of building a game are incredibly different than recording a show. And each game, like Arkham Knight, took 2 years to build. And there are 130,000 lines in that were recorded for that movie, depending on how you play the game. You know what I mean? I felt like I was in half of them. So it's just different.
Yeah.
We're going to go crazy. We got to go crazy speed round. We got like 2 minutes left. Let's get everybody in. Just real quick answers, real quick questions.
Hi, my name is Hi, my name is Jabril. I was wondering if any of you guys met any people from the live action movies, if you met Robert Pattinson.
Favorite actor from the live action series you met? Anybody?
Well, I've met Gal.
Oh, you did?
There you go.
And I've met Linda. And I was on the set of Wonder Woman, the last Wonder Woman movie. I got to watch them filming.
What?
And I've met Patty Jenkins. So very lucky.
Let's jump to the next question. We're gonna burn through them. It can't be for everybody.
Because no one can beat that answer.
Nobody's gonna beat Gal Gadot. That's right. Real quick.
My name is Ian. I'm from Massachusetts. Who
is the most worthy of lifting Thor's hammer?
Superman, next.
Superman.
Hi, my name
Nope,
is...
not Superman. Superman can be affected by magic.
I will debate you on this, sir, later. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Gabe. If you had the chance, would you go back to do a reboot of Justice League?
In a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Yes. Let's go next.
We'd record it right now.
My name's Gerald. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. I'd like to ask you guys if you guys were disappointed by the fact that they decided to sunset Justice League instead of keeping it going.
Any
Had so much
disappointments?
potential.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Next.
My name is Jomar Diaz. I'm from Hartford. Kevin Conroy, I was wondering if you have a favorite badass quote from Batman.
Give us your best line.
I want you to remember, Clark, in all the years to come, in all your private moments, I want you to remember my hand at your throat. I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
Nice. Next. Let's go. You're off book. Yell it.
Hi, my name's Evan Venus from CT New Britain. I was going to ask you guys, what's your favorite interpretation of the characters you played, like any other voice actors? Like, who do you think does, like, the best versions of you guys? Not that you're great.
Us. No one's going to top these folks. Last question.
My name is Connor Griffin. I guess my question would be if, like, Marvel or DC or Warner Brothers offered you guys to play any role in their movies, like, besides the characters you played, like how Keaton played Vulture, who would you want to play?
You guys would be in it in a heartbeat, right?
Wolverine.
Oh, yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, the Justice League, give it up!
Hi, this is Maisie Richardson-Sellers, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be a legend and hit that like button, and most importantly, have fun and follow your fandom.